The Pulse of the Cube, a gripping urban mystery thriller. Chapter 1: The Wrong Hour. The train was 20 minutes late, but Anna didn't mind. She was used to delays. What she wasn't used to was the man on the opposite bench watching her too closely. First she thought it was chance. Commuters glanced at one another all the time. Bored, tired, trapped in the ritual of waiting. But the longer she sat there, the more certain she became. He wasn't just looking, he was studying her. She crossed one leg over the other, pretending to adjust her phone brightness, using the screen as a mirror. Mid-40s maybe. Dark coat. Clean-shaven, though the stubble had pushed through in patches, like someone not accustomed to upkeep. A briefcase sat on the ground between his polished shoes. Ordinary enough. Too ordinary. The loudspeaker above crackled with static. Platform 4. Train to Harrow arriving shortly. Please stand behind the yellow line. The man didn't move. Neither did Anna. She was waiting for the 6:45 and this one wasn't hers. Then, just as the crowd surged forward to board, the man reached for his case, stood, and paused. Not at the train doors. Not at the flow of passengers. But beside Anna. "Excuse me," he said quietly. His voice was smoother than she expected. "Do you know what time it is?" The question was harmless. Ordinary. But something in the way he asked it, like he already knew the answer, made Anna's stomach tighten. She looked at her phone screen. The clock read 6:44. When she looked up, the man was already gone. No footsteps. No trace of him in the throng. Only the briefcase remained at her feet. Chapter 2: The Briefcase. Anna stared at it. Black leather, scuffed along the edges, handle worn from use. It sat there like a stray animal, silent and expectant. People streamed past on either side, too absorbed in their own rush to notice. She should have called after him. Should have done something. But the man had vanished as though the station had swallowed him whole. The briefcase wasn't heavy when she nudged it with her shoe. Balanced. Deliberately placed. Her mind rehearsed explanations. He forgot it. He'll come back, it's nothing, but none of them held up. Nobody forgets a case like that, not when it's kept so close, not when they linger until the very last second before leaving it behind. The train arrived, squealing to a stop. A flood of passengers boarded. A guard's whistle cut through the noise. And Anna, in the middle of it all, had one irrational certainty. If she left the case here, something would happen. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A text. Unknown number. Don't open it here. Her throat tightened. She hadn't told anyone. No one knew. Yet there it was, the words glowing against her skin. Don't open it here. She looked up sharply, scanning the station. The crowd blurred, faces, coats, movement. Someone was watching, hidden in plain sight. The train doors clattered shut. The carriage pulled away, carrying the late commuters into the tunnel. And Anna was left standing alone on platform 4, the briefcase at her feet, her phone trembling in her hand, and the uneasy feeling that she had already crossed a line she didn't know existed. Chapter 3: The Weight of It. Anna didn't remember bending down. One moment, the briefcase sat on the concrete. The next, her hand was wrapped around the handle. Its leather warm as if someone else had only just let go. The weight surprised her. Not crushing, but heavier than she expected, like carrying a secret. It swung against her leg as she walked, every step reminding her, "This doesn't belong to you." She moved toward the escalators, trying to look casual, though her pulse betrayed her. Each face that passed her seemed to linger a second too long. A man in a yellow jacket stared openly. A woman whispering into her phone turned her head as Anna brushed by. At the top of the escalator, the station widened into its main hall. A high echoing space filled with clattering footsteps and the smell of fried food from the vendors. She wanted to breathe relief, to disappear into the crowd, but instead she froze. Across the hall, near the ticket barriers, stood the man. The same man. Dark coat, polished shoes, briefcase no longer missing because it was in her hand. Except, no, her fingers clenched tighter. That was impossible. He couldn't be holding it, yet there it was, a twin. Identical down to the scratches on the clasp. Their eyes met. He didn't move toward her. Didn't signal. Just watched. The world around them blurred into background noise, the air thick with the unspoken. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Do not let go. Anna's breath caught. She turned instinctively to see who was behind her. But the crowd swallowed her. Strangers pressing, brushing past, unremarkable. When she looked back at the man in the dark coat, he was gone. The briefcase in her hand felt suddenly alive, as though its weight had shifted, as though it knew she was holding it. Chapter 4. Shadows on the pavement. The air outside the station was colder than she expected, sharp with exhaust fumes and drizzle. Anna pulled her coat tighter and quickened her pace. The briefcase bumped rhythmically against her leg, its weight constant, its presence impossible to ignore. She thought of dropping it in the nearest bin, leaving it for someone else, erasing the whole bizarre encounter. But the text message pulsed in her memory. Do not let go. She crossed the road. Tires hissed on wet asphalt, headlights slicing the night. Her apartment was 3 stops away on the bus, but suddenly the idea of waiting, of standing exposed beneath the yellow glow of a street lamp, felt unbearable. She'd walk. 20 minutes. Half an hour if she kept her head down. 5 minutes in, she realized she wasn't alone. The street was mostly empty, shops shuttered, neon signs buzzing faintly. Behind her, footsteps echoed. Measured. Unhurried. She glanced back. A man. Hood up, hands in pockets, keeping distance. Too far to see his face. She turned the next corner sharply. The footsteps followed. Her heart thudded in her chest. She lengthened her stride. The sound matched hers, steady as a metronome. Whoever he was, he wasn't trying to hide. The phone buzzed again. She nearly dropped it, pulling it out. Unknown number. Left on Ashbury. Do not run. Her breath caught. Ashbury Street was ahead. Narrow, dimly lit, almost deserted. To turn left there would mean losing herself in a maze of side roads. She slowed, pulse screaming at her to run. The footsteps behind her never wavered. Another message blinked onto the screen before she made her choice. Unknown number. He isn't the only one. Chapter 5. Ashbury. Anna turned left. Ashbury Street yawned before her like a throat, narrow and dim, the kind of place you wouldn't choose after dark. The rain had slicked the cobblestones into a dull sheen. Shopfronts crouched in silence, an abandoned laundrette, a locksmith with bars across its windows, a boarded-up cafe. Her footsteps rang louder here. So did his. She didn't look back this time. She didn't need to. She could feel him. The weight of his gaze pressing between her shoulder blades, patient, deliberate. The phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Door on your right. Blue frame. Inside. Now. Her eyes darted along the row of shops until she spotted it. A single recessed doorway, paint peeling, the frame a fading shade of blue. The glass above it was so dark she couldn't see inside. She hesitated. What if it was a trap? What if the messages were from him? The footsteps drew closer. Anna's hand tightened on the briefcase. She pushed the door open. A bell jangled overhead, startling in the quiet. The smell hit her first. Old paper, dust, something sweet and gone stale. She stumbled into a narrow corridor lined with shelves. Books. Hundreds of them, stacked unevenly, spines cracked, some titles in languages she didn't recognize. The door clicked shut behind her. For a heartbeat, she thought she was alone. Then a voice spoke from the shadows between the shelves. You shouldn't have picked it up. Anna froze. The voice was calm, neither male nor female, low enough to force her to lean closer. She couldn't see the speaker. Just rows of books, the faint glow of a single desk lamp at the far end, and the oppressive hush of too many words pressed together. Her phone buzzed once more. She glanced at the screen, pulse hammering. Unknown number. Don't trust the one you hear. Chapter 6 Stacks. Anna's throat was dry. The voice came again, closer this time, though the air didn't shift. You touched it. That means they've marked you. Her fingers curled tighter around the handle of the briefcase. The leather creaked softly, as though reminding her of its presence. Who are you? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. The rows of books answered only with silence. Dust motes drifted in the lamplight at the far end of the corridor. I don't want any part of this, Anna said. I'll give it back. I'll leave it right here. The voice chuckled softly, humorless, dry. You think it's yours to give? Her phone buzzed again. She snatched it up. Unknown number. Don't speak again. Listen. Her skin prickled. She swallowed her next question. Footsteps whispered between the shelves, barely audible, like pages turning. She turned her head, trying to catch movement, but every aisle looked the same. Endless spines, words she couldn't focus on, shapes blurring in the dimness. The unseen speaker continued. They'll follow you. They'll wait until you're tired. And when you are, they'll ask you the question. Answer wrong and you won't see morning. Anna's stomach dropped. What question? No reply. Instead, the desk lamp at the far end flickered, then flared brighter, throwing long, jagged shadows down the corridor. For the first time, she noticed a figure seated at the desk, a silhouette hunched, unmoving. Her phone buzzed again, urgent this time. Unknown number. Leave now. Back door. Don't look at the desk. Anna's eyes fixed on the silhouette despite herself. It hadn't been there before. She was certain. The shape was wrong somehow, its outline uneven, as though stitched together from mismatched parts. The voice behind her whispered, almost at her ear. You looked. Chapter 7 The Back Door. Anna stumbled backward, eyes locked on the silhouette at the desk. It hadn't moved. Not exactly, but she couldn't shake the sense that it was waiting. The phone buzzed again in her hand, a lifeline in the silence. Unknown number out. Before it sees you. Her pulse hammered. She spun toward the shelves, searching for a way through. Between the sagging stacks, a narrow passage opened, lined with crates of books too weathered to sell. She forced herself down it, shoulder brushing dust and cardboard. Behind her, the voice called softly. Anna. Her chest clenched. They knew her name. She didn't look back. Didn't dare. The corridor bent sharply, leading to a plain wooden door bolted shut with an iron latch. She shoved it open with more strength than she knew she had. Cold night air hit her like a slap. She staggered into an alley, puddles reflecting the thin glow of a single security light. The door creaked shut behind her, muffling the voice, sealing the shop in silence. Her breathing came ragged, every inhale sharp against her ribs. She hadn't realized how hard she was shaking until she nearly dropped the phone. Another buzz. Unknown number. Good. Keep walking. Left to the main road. Don't look up. Don't look up. The words itched in her skull, which made her want to do it all the more. Her eyes lifted before she could stop herself. Above the alley, at the roofline of the bookshop, a figure leaned over the edge. Motionless. Watching. The light was too weak to catch a face, only the outline. A coat whipping in the breeze, head tilted at an angle too sharp to be natural. The briefcase felt heavier than ever, dragging her arm down. Anna turned and fled toward the street. Chapter 8 The Street. The alley spat her out onto a broader road, slick with rain, its street lamps throwing pale cones of light across empty bus stops and shuttered storefronts. Cars hissed past in the distance, but here she was alone, or close enough to feel it. Her phone buzzed before she caught her breath. Unknown number. Keep moving. Don't stop under the lights. Anna hesitated, half in shadow, half in glow. The warning coiled in her stomach. Whoever was sending these messages wasn't guessing. They saw her. She stepped back into darkness. The briefcase tugged at her arm, heavier with every block. She switched hands. No relief. It was like the case wanted her to feel its weight, wanted to remind her that she was its unwilling courier. Another buzz. Unknown number. You're not the only one carrying one tonight. Her head snapped up. Across the street, a man in a gray overcoat was walking parallel to her, matching her pace. In his hand, impossible to miss, was a briefcase. Black leather. Identical. Anna froze. The man didn't look at her. He didn't need to. His route mirrored hers perfectly. When she slowed, he slowed. When she paused, he pretended to check his watch. The phone pulsed again. Unknown number. Do not approach him. If he speaks, don't answer. As if on cue, the man in gray finally turned his head. Across the dark road, his face caught the faint shine of a streetlight. Pale, calm, unreadable. He lifted his free hand, not in a wave but in a deliberate gesture, like drawing a line through the air. Anna's chest tightened. She clutched the briefcase harder and kept walking, every step an act of will against the screaming urge to run. Behind her, a car door slammed. Someone else was out there. And suddenly she knew. Whoever was following her wasn't alone anymore. Chapter 9. Carriers. The slam of the car door echoed like a warning shot. Anna quickened her pace, clutching the briefcase to her side. The night pressed closer, every sound too sharp. The hum of a street lamp, the hiss of tires, her own shallow breathing. The man across the street mirrored her again, step for step. His briefcase swung in rhythm with hers, as if mocking her. Then he crossed. No hesitation. He stepped off the curb, shoes splashing in shallow puddles, cutting the distance between them. His eyes never left hers, cold and deliberate. Anna's phone buzzed in her palm. Unknown number. Keep walking. Don't speak. Don't stop. Her legs carried her forward, stiff, mechanical. She didn't know if it was fear or obedience, but she obeyed. The man drew alongside her. Close enough she could smell his cologne, sharp, metallic like iron filings. He didn't touch her, didn't block her path. He only leaned the briefest fraction closer and whispered, "Wrong hour." The words chilled her worse than the rain. She didn't answer. Couldn't. From behind came the thud of boots on pavement. Heavy. Purposeful. She glanced over her shoulder. A second figure approached, tall, hood pulled low, another case in hand. Two of them. Her phone buzzed again, urgent, relentless. Unknown number. Next corner. Left. Run. This time she didn't think. She bolted. The briefcase battered her hip as she sprinted. Lungs burning. Shoes slapping against slick stone. She heard them behind her. First one set of footsteps, then two, chasing hard. The corner loomed. She turned sharp left. And froze. Ahead the alley was blocked. A third figure waited in the shadows, standing perfectly still. Another black briefcase gleaming faintly in his grip. Her phone buzzed once more, as if it had been waiting for this. Unknown number. One of them isn't real. Chapter 10. The Three. Anna froze at the mouth of the alley, rain cooling her skin, her breath loud in her ears. Three of them now. Three carriers. Each holding the same black briefcase as hers. The first, the man in gray, stood just a few steps behind, calm, unhurried, as if he already knew she couldn't escape. The second, the hooded figure, lingered closer, body tilted forward like a predator about to lunge. The third, waiting in the alley's shadows, hadn't moved since she saw him, just standing there, watching. Her phone buzzed in her fist. Unknown number. Choose carefully. One isn't real. Her eyes darted between them, frantic. What did not real mean? A disguise? A trick? Something worse? Anna, the man in gray said, voice soft, steady. You're carrying what doesn't belong to you. Give it here. The hooded figure took a step closer. She saw the glint of water sliding off his sleeve, the shape of his jaw under the shadow of the hood. His briefcase swung like a pendulum. Then the one in the alley finally moved. Just a fraction, but enough for her to notice something wrong, unnatural. The rain was falling all around him, yet not on him. His outline flickered as though the night itself hadn't agreed on his shape. Her stomach lurched. Another buzz. Unknown number. Do not look at him too long. The hooded figure's voice broke the silence, low and urgent. Run. Now. Her body screamed to obey, but she hesitated, between the calm certainty of the gray man, the warning from the hooded one, and the flickering shadow that wasn't entirely there. Somewhere deep in her gut, Anna knew. Whichever choice she made, it would matter. The briefcase in her hand grew heavier, as though waiting for her decision. Chapter 11. Leap. Anna's hand tightened on the briefcase. Her pulse hammered so loudly she could almost hear it echo off the walls of the alley. The gray man's calm gaze didn't waver. The hooded figure's warning sliced through the air. And the flickering shadow, it felt like it was watching her very thoughts. Her decision came not from reason but from instinct. She wouldn't trust any of them. Not fully. Not yet. She pivoted sharply, ducking between the gray man and the hooded figure, and sprinted toward the far end of the alley, the side the flickering shadow hadn't reached. Stop! The gray man called. She ignored it. The hooded figure lunged, trying to block her path. Anna dodged, sliding along wet cobblestones, her shoes splashing through puddles. The shadow shifted as she passed, flickering faster, like it was splitting, multiplying, trying to anticipate her movement. Her hands burned with tension, gripping the briefcase as though her life depended on it, because it did. At the alley's end, a narrow fire escape led upward. Instinct again. She jumped, catching the lowest rung, pulling herself onto the metal platform. Rust bit her palms. The shadow hesitated at the base. Anna climbed higher, rung by rung, chest heaving, rain soaking through her hair. She looked down once. The three of them, gray, hooded, and the impossible flicker, stood below, staring up. Motionless. Waiting. Above, the night opened to the rooftops. She didn't hesitate. She leapt again, landing on a lower ledge, sliding along the slick stone until she reached a wider roof. Her heart slammed. The city stretched before her, dark and shimmering with distant lights. Behind her, she could just make out the shapes at the alley's mouth, still watching, still patient. The briefcase swung heavily at her side. She didn't know what it held. She didn't know why it mattered. But she knew she had crossed the first line. And somewhere in the night, Anna realized she hadn't escaped. Not yet. The chase had only just begun. Chapter 12. The Lid. Anna crouched on the edge of the rooftop, rain plastering her hair to her forehead. Her lungs burned, her hands ached from gripping the briefcase, but she couldn't stop now. Somewhere below, the three figures remained, waiting, silent, patient, menacing. The city stretched dark and glimmering around her, and for the first time, Anna allowed herself to look at the briefcase. The leather was smooth now, almost alive under her fingertips. She pressed her thumbs against the clasp. It resisted at first, then gave with a click that sounded unnaturally loud in the night air. Inside, the first thing she saw was nothing. Nothing but a black velvet interior. And yet, as she peered deeper, shapes began to emerge, blurred at first like shadows moving just beneath the surface. She blinked and the shapes sharpened. Papers. Not ordinary papers. Maps with markings she didn't recognize. Symbols that seemed to shift if she moved her eyes. Photographs. Some of streets she had walked tonight, corners she had passed, even herself in frames she didn't remember being photographed. And then tucked beneath the maps, a small metallic cube. No larger than her palm, but pulsing faintly. Light hummed from within, a heartbeat-like glow that seemed to respond to her presence. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Do not touch the cube. Anna froze. To call to her anyway. Something inside her whispered that the cube was the reason she had been followed. the reason the briefcase had chosen her. Somewhere below, the shadows shifted. The chase hadn't ended, and now the briefcase wasn't just a burden. It was a trap, a key, and perhaps the only thing that could keep her alive. Her fingers hovered above the cube, and in that heartbeat, Anna realized she had reached the point of no return. Chapter 13: The Pulse. Anna's fingers hovered over the cube, the faint light pulsing beneath her skin like a heartbeat she could almost feel in her own chest. Her mind screamed at her to stop. The phone's warning repeated in her head. Do not touch the cube. But curiosity, fear, and the need to understand the storm she'd walked into pulled her forward. She pressed her thumb against the cool metal. The moment her skin met the surface, the pulse doubled, thrumming through her hand, up her arm and into her chest. A soft hum filled her ears, barely audible, yet unmistakable. Like the vibration of the city itself, focused, alive. Shadows below shifted violently. The three figures in the alley were gone, replaced by movement, by something faster, sharper. The cube's light brightened, casting long, jagged shadows across the rooftop. And then a whisper, soft, mechanical, almost human, flowed directly into her mind. You shouldn't have touched me. The sound made her knees weak. She stumbled back, nearly dropping the briefcase, but the cube's hum anchored her, as if demanding attention. Her phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. It knows you now. There is no turning back. Rain sluiced down her face, but Anna didn't feel it. All she could focus on was the cube, and the pulse growing faster, in sync with her heartbeat. Then the rooftop shuddered beneath her. Not from wind, not from her weight. Something moved above, behind, beside her. She didn't know which, but the city seemed alive with it. The cube's glow shifted from pale blue to harsh white, blinding her for a fraction of a second. When her eyes adjusted, the skyline had changed. Buildings were the same, streets the same, but a shadow had fallen across the rooftops. A presence. Watching. Waiting. And Anna understood with bone-deep certainty. The briefcase had never been hers to carry. She had only been allowed to hold it. Now it wanted something. Chapter 14: The Cube. Anna hugged the briefcase to her chest, the cube thrumming beneath her fingers like a living thing. The white light had dimmed slightly, but it left trails of faint illumination in the rain-soaked air, as if drawing invisible lines across the city. She had to understand. She had no choice. Slowly, carefully, she turned the cube in her palm. Its surfaces shifted under her touch. Not mechanically, not like moving parts, but as if the metal itself was fluid, bending, conforming. Symbols etched into its surface flickered and reformed, now readable. Coordinates, times, names she didn't recognize. Then a door appeared in the air before her. Not a real door. No hinges, no frame. Just an outline of light and shadow, hovering above the rooftop. The cube pulsed, louder this time, and Anna realized. It opened paths. Paths through space, maybe time, maybe both. Her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. Unknown number. Do not go through it. Not yet. They will follow. The whisper returned, low and urgent in her mind. Use me and the world will change for you. But every choice has a cost. Anna's pulse raced. She tested the cube again, touching the floating outline. The city below shimmered. Shapes shifted. Windows elongated. Lampposts bent unnaturally. And the shadows of the alley below twisted as though alive. The cube didn't just reveal locations. It manipulated them. It altered perception, space, and possibly more. The three figures chasing her weren't just people. They were connected to it. Agents of its influence, drawn or bound to ensure it reached the right hands. Anna realized with a cold certainty that she could escape, or she could follow. Either way, once she used the cube fully, there would be no turning back. Her fingers hovered above the glowing outline. The pulse from the cube synchronized with her heartbeat. One choice, one step could change everything. And above the city, the rain whispered against metal and stone, echoing the unspoken truth. Some objects were never meant to be held. Chapter 15: The Leap. Anna's hand hovered over the glowing outline. Rain plastered her hair to her forehead. Every instinct screamed to flee, but something in the cube, alive, insistent, patient, pushed her forward. She pressed the surface. The world shifted. The rooftop stretched, warped, dissolving into a corridor of light. She was moving, falling, flying, or all three at once. The city below blurred into streaks of neon and shadow. Her heartbeat synchronized with the cube's pulse, and for a terrifying moment, she felt every path the cube could create stretching before her like 1,000 doors. And then she landed. Hard. The alley where she had first picked up the briefcase lay before her, but changed. The three figures waited, but something was different. Their edges flickered unnaturally, like the shadow figure before. The cube had shown her their weakness. Only one was real. Instinct guided her. She dashed toward the farthest figure, dodging the flickering illusions. The cube's pulse thrummed in her chest, warning, urging, guiding. The gray man lunged. Anna sidestepped, vaulting over crates. The hooded figure shouted, but his form shimmered, collapsing like mist. The shadow figure surged forward, only to dissipate as she swung the briefcase in a wide arc, sending a pulse of light from the cube that froze it in place. Breath heaving, she reached the center of the alley. The cube's glow bathed her in white light. She could feel its energy coursing, responding to her fear, her courage, her will. A whisper again, this time softer, almost tender. Now you know. Now you decide. The city waited. The streets, the rooftops, the alleyways, all became malleable in the cube's presence. She could run, vanish, manipulate space itself. But she also understood the cost. Every action would ripple, unseen consequences spreading like cracks in water. She clenched the cube, letting it pulse through her fingertips. One choice remained: use it to escape completely, leaving the pursuers behind, or use it to turn the tables, confronting whoever had sent the warnings, and uncovering the full truth behind the briefcase. Anna stepped forward. The pulse surged. Rain and light merged into a single endless corridor of possibility. And with that step, the chase ended. Not with a scream, not with violence, but with a door opening, a door that only Anna could walk through. The city blurred, then resolved into a new reality. And in her hand, the cube rested quietly, waiting for the next heartbeat, the next decision, the next story. The night was still. For now. Epilogue: after the leap, the city was quiet. Too quiet. Anna stood on a rooftop, far above the streets she had just left behind. The rain had stopped, but the clouds lingered, heavy and low, reflecting the neon lights like water. The cube lay in her palm, cool and still, its glow faint, almost asleep. She didn't know how long she had been gone, or if she had even moved in time the way she thought she had. The world felt different. Subtle shifts in perspective, buildings slightly misaligned, familiar streets that led nowhere. The cube had changed something, everything, in a way she couldn't yet name. A soft pulse rose from it again, faint, like a heartbeat reminding her she was not alone. Her phone lay abandoned on the rooftop. She checked it, no messages, not even the unknown number that had guided, warned, and terrified her. She wondered if it had been real, or if it had been the cube speaking through the city, shaping her path all along. Far below, lights flickered. Shapes moved in shadows, people or something like them. She couldn't tell. She felt the same eyes she had evaded before, watching, waiting, patient. The cube had drawn attention, perhaps for her protection, perhaps for something else entirely. Anna closed her fingers around it. A whisper echoed in her mind, soft as rain. The story is not over. Not for you. Not for anyone. For a moment, she let herself breathe, standing on the edge of a rooftop, staring at the city's shifting glow. She could run. She could hide. She could step through another door. The cube pulsed once, deliberately, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Then she smiled faintly, a mix of fear and determination. Whatever came next, Anna knew one thing: the chase would never truly end. The night waited, and she was ready.